we recently published a video about the new LCS commissioner on YouTube. It went over surprisingly well because I know that the new LCS commissioner is some sort of beloved figure in the community. Why? Because he never says anything even vaguely controversial, eats Riot's ass at every given opportunity, and is just the kind of vanilla milquetoast talent, and I use that term very loosely, that thrives in that game. So anyway, everyone's like, oh wow, he's a fan. He's just like us for real. And they all loved the appointment. I said, I think it's pretty bad to have a commissioner that's so divorced from the reality of player rights that they were actively part of the media apparatus covering up evil geniuses, abusing and neglecting its own players. I don't think that's a good sign at all, actually, for the health of the ecosystem. But Players Association seem to like it. Players seem to like it. He's one of us, Google Gabble. It's all that shit over at League. Bunch of freaks. So, you know, fine. I put that video out, and actually, the responses were really good, really positive. People were like, yeah, you know what? It is an important issue that the commissioner doesn't really fucking care about player rights and that sort of thing. Or that, you know, he's a partner of the official journalist of Riot Games Choice, TM, Mr. Travis Gafford. You know, there's tons of problems with it. But as I said, it's one big treehouse over there. Anyway, he's not just shallow, he's a shallow narcissist, evidently. Wasted no time getting in front of camera and basically regurgitating a bunch of Riot speak, making it look like it's all his own work, when of course we all know the commissioner is essentially just a mouthpiece for the regime. And man, the changes they're making to the LCS broadcast, whoo boy, I'm gonna be real with you. If I was working as an analyst, especially as we'll get to in that space, I'd be massively insulted. They have just infantilized what is meant to be a sport. It's incredible. But let's watch the video.
Hello everyone, I'm Mark Zimmerman, and I'm excited to welcome you to the very first LCS address. This will become an annual video series, maybe once a split as needed.
I mean, so first of all, if you make one video a year, it's not really a series. I don't know why that irked me. An annual video series. Like, I mean, you know, how fucking annual video series. All right.
Reflecting on the previous year and a glimpse of what's to come in the new year. Since this is the first video in the series, and I'm just starting my role as the commissioner for the LCS, this will focus on more of what you can expect in 2024. Today, we'll be hitting on 3 core things. The first one being the hype, where I'll give you our big bets that...
Hashtag LCS is thriving there. Now, listen, I understand why they've included this in an LCS hype video, but obviously, LCS, we know it's not thriving. We also know Riot Games curate and approve every sign in the studio. It's very public knowledge it's not thriving. That's why you're making these radical changes. So... just embarrassing including that, but whatever.
We think will make you a fan of the LCS.
Rude.
The need to know info, so you'll be up to date on schedule, format, and ticketing. And then we'll wrap it up with just how we're gonna pull all of this off, as well as a quick check-in with the NACL and what they're planning. Before we dig in though, we have a quick message to fans who have been out here supporting the LCS. We know there have been challenges over the past years. We don't want to derail this video by going over the greatest hits, but we're going to keep working hard to rebuild your trust in us.
Yeah, I mean, why would you go over the things you've done wrong? You're Riot Games, the least self-aware company ever in the history of video games. You will never admit to fault, and certainly when you have to come out and do mea culpas, you'll never analyze the faults or the mistakes. So why would this video be any different? Carry that water, my friend.
We hope this video and these changes are steps forward in that direction. Now, on to the hype. We have some bold bets that we're making heading into spring 2024. First of which is that the LCS will now be played on the live patch every week. Whatever you see pros dishing out on the Rift and the LCS, you can instantly try out in your own games without wondering what's changed between the patches. Our pros have a platform now to show off their skills and strategies, and we will be the ones to steer the driver's seat of the meta.
Right, so for those that don't understand, what happens is when you play a split, how it used to traditionally work is it would get locked onto a particular patch, and then they would only update the game at key moments when people had time to, like, you know, learn strategies, what's optimal, and blah, blah, blah. Now, as the game just gets updated, that's what the pros will play. So if you've got a guy who's really good at one particular hero, and it gets nerfed partway through the split, fuck you, right? So what's interesting about this is I don't know how much conference they were in with the Players Association, but like players shouldn't want to agree to this. This is like very contrary to player interests, because basically, while it makes the games boring and stale, people like to figure out a meta, stick to the meta, play out the meta for as long as possible, and then get updates and patches, being pushed live so they can learn optimal strategies. Now in NA, what learning an optimal strategy is, you go and, they're doing it in LPL, so we'll do it, but not as good, because that's NA League of Legends player work ethic. No one innovates in NA. They just do that. Yeah, it's busted, bro. It's broken, bro. It's so broken, so busted. You're never going to see the likes of, Blue Ezreal ever again, sort of, coming out and whatever. Innovation's kind of at an all-time low where the game is at right now. But anyway, whatever. This is great for fans. It's great for fans because leads to more upsets. It leads to different heroes being picked. People might try some things. People might go for like wild card picks. And so it is a good change. Nominally for viewership and interest in the game. For players, garbage. This is not good for players at all. I can't believe players like this in any way, shape, or form. And I would wager, although I don't know, I could probably find out, I would have thought this would have been a sticking block for the Players Association. But there you go. Fuck the players. We're pandering to the fans. By the way, spoiler, that is what all of the changes they make are for. The fans are running the show now. Think about how dumb the average esports fan is. Think about how dumb the average League of Legends fan is. And now understand the broadcast is not only tailored entirely to their tastes and desires, they will be actively influencing the shape of the broadcast. Let's carry on.
The LCS will also be bringing you matches faster than ever before.
How are you going to do that?
We're aiming to cut our transition times between games in half. The intended show flow will then go from game end to a piece of content to commercial break to champion select. I have worked the analyst desk for a long time, and we've heard you. Start the next game.
Right. So, cheers, cunt. Cheers, you fucking cunt. This is what working for the regime does, right? Like, he used to be an analyst. The people saying, stop talking, start game, are morons. They are the worst. They are the esports detritus. They don't pay. They don't care. Why the fuck are we giving them what they want? Why would you validate those cretins? But that's what they're doing. That's what they've done. So in other words, now, it sounds like when he says piece of content, there's not going to be any analysis in the middle of a game anymore. So it's going to go one. How a sports broadcast works, by the way, you show the game, and then you have experts at football at halftime and at the end, talk about why the game went the way it did, and they throw in some interviews, and they talk about contextually what it means within this, league, the tournament as a whole. That is super important. I don't care if morons can't handle that. Too much talking. Because the trick the average esports fan pulls is they pretend they care about analysis, but they never watch it. So they say things like, you'll go into a Reddit thread, Maniac's a shit analyst. And you'd be like, what? He played in like some of the top teams of all time. He was like a fucking pro. Like, he played at the highest level of the game, and you're saying he doesn't understand the game. You said Pimp doesn't know what he's talking about, and me, a Gold Nova 4, knows this. So they type shit like that, and what they're implying is that they care about the analysis, that they want good analysis, that if you give somebody a telestrator, you will notice, by the way, what was the name of that? The Mahone Zone? Weird how that got cut, wasn't it? Thought you all loved that shit, guys. Thought you want no. Mahone really knows. Yeah. You don't care. You didn't watch that either, right? So the type of fan that watches analysis, they're rare in esports because they have a functioning brain, right? They care about how did this team overcome this other team? What strategies did they use? Doesn't have to be super in-depth, but give it to me. I want to hear the expert's opinion on this so I can metabolize it and form my own informed opinions based on my own observations. Show me some analysis. Show me some telestrator drawings. Show me a team fight breakdown. Give me all of that, and then also sprinkle on a layer of narrative context so I come back next week and I understand what the stakes are for the games. That's what an analysis desk is designed to do. I organize analyst desks. I used to when I was a host. I have run tons of them. I thought we had the best desks in CS, probably in all of esports history, when I was an active host. And I will take a little bit of credit for it. Not too much. They were good before I started doing my way. But the esports desks were fucking goated. Let's just be fucking real about it. So I know what I'm talking about. And I know what fans want. And I know the type of fan I value in esports. The plebs who sit there saying, start game, why you talk too much. They don't know what fill is. They don't know that you're covering for a tech problem. They don't know that you've got ad reads to do. They don't understand how a broadcast works because they are morons watching fireworks. You could take away that monitor. You could distract them with a plate of like nuggies. And you could take away that monitor and replace it with just something else, a screensaver, and they would still be transfixed. That's the fucking fan we are now letting run esports, and they are running esports into the fucking ground, and this broadcast is going to be dreadful. I'll add to this. If you're an analyst and a commissioner who was a former analyst, one of the first things he puts his name to is killing analysis between games, because remember, he said a content piece. Thank you for fucking my job. Because now I'm used less, so I get to charge less. I'm seen less, so I have less profile, less opportunity. Actually, I'm passionate about the analysis. Like, I couldn't even imagine coming into Counter-Strike and going to, like, Maniac, going to, like, Pimp, going to, like, Sponge when he did it. You can't actually talk between games anymore, talking to Yanko. They wouldn't accept it. They go, nah, that's the part of the job I dig. So, what they're going to do instead, by the way, is have the fucking analysts debase themselves reading tweets and clowning around.
Don't worry about your favorite analysts from the lounge, though. They will still be here for pre- and post-show, as well as recording content with our pros between the games. The LCS will also be exploring new ways for our fans to interact with the show. This could range from being able to vote at home on who gets interviewed after the game, which lane you want the camera to focus on in the early game, using your channel points to send messages to the casters reading chats. These are just a few of the ideas that we're exploring right now, but we'll...
And all of them are fucking hideous. I decide which player gets interviewed? Can you imagine in Counter-Strike? JKS, get JK... He's not even on a team. JK, I want you! Brilliant. What a great broadcast. We're going to hear from the same fucking player 5,000 fucking times. And that player who might have a really cool, interesting story. Like, we'll never interview him. He's not popular enough, sorry. Like, right? Be fucking ridiculous. It's no different in League. They all play their favourites. Also, the mechanism for trolling. I mean, by the way, Riot will just obviously not allow it to be free and fair, because it's Riot. But again, theoretically, I'm assuming you're not lying to me, Mark. He's, of course, lying. Oh, bloody hell, Faker got called up, or, whatever it is. They're not going to allow it. Because think about the mechanism for trolling. If I know a player can't speak English, and I've got, like, a bunch of Twitch bot accounts, I just put him on the fucking broadcast. And just have the worst, most awkward interviews of all time. Why not? I've just fucked your whole show up. So, that's ridiculous. What lane you focus on? Shouldn't the commentators and the people that construct the fucking narrative before the game begins maybe have, like, a little bit of say in that? Oh, no, we're giving that to the fucking pleb fans. Wow. Thank you. Sounds awesome. Oh, and don't worry about your favourite analysts. They'll be recording content. Oh, I can't wait. Can't wait for the wacky content with players that they're recording. Can't wait for that. And then, what's this? And also, you can use channel points to have analysts read your tweets. And anything else, mate? Stick a broom up my arse so I can fucking sweep the floor while I'm walking around. What is this? They're meant to be professional sports analysts. I get it's an entertainment product, but I reject the fucking notion that you can't have entertaining analysis. And also, I reject the notion that just because fans don't like something, you shouldn't do it.
We'll continue improving across the split. Fourth, the LCS will bring more communication content. Over the course of the year, we plan to continue doing regular updates, live streamed AMAs, media interviews, and more. This is a two-way street though, meaning that we will be monitoring what parts of the changes fans are liking and what they might want to see more of in the future. finally, the LCS is the best Western region in the world. You heard me right. Energy destroyed G2, LEC's best team at Worlds in 2023, and was the only team from outside the
I'm a
LPL
fan, just
and
like
the
you,
LCK
for
to make
real,
top
for
8 at
real.
Worlds last year. And, who knows, maybe the LEC will redeem themselves at MSI this year. But until then, the LCS reigns supreme. And we want the rest of the world to see more of the LCS. So we have details on co-streaming and partnerships with international partners that will be available soon. Okay, it's time to check in on that bet.
This is the other thing as well. Using popular streamers to pop up the numbers. This is something they've done in Valorant. Basically the official Valorant stream never gets as many as like a Tarek co-stream. So this is what they're doing again in League of Legends, because as I've said, the secret source of co-streaming is you get somebody that churns out an inferior product, but by virtue of leveraging their popularity, a Tarek fan that might not ordinarily watch a Valorant broadcast will watch Tarek watch a Valorant broadcast. And now I get to use that fan, a Tarek fan, not a Valorant fan, but I get to use him in my Valorant stats that I sent to sponsors and news outlets and everything else. It's a con job. Listen, I know DJ Wheat, Marcus, was one of the progenitors of co-streaming, and I love the idea of co-streaming. You may remember, had a pretty successful co-stream myself, the No Majors Club, a joke that sort of grew into a biannual event and was something the community always looked forward to. So I get it, but here's the difference. Like, I went out of my way to try and add value to that. We had guests on. We would go live to the tournament and like get updates. We would have banter. There'd be 9 or 10 people all talking. We'd take it in shifts. There'd be real casting. There'd be fun games. We did the bot major as a spin-off. We tried to add as much value. What co-streaming has become isn't what it was meant to be. Co-streaming has now become, I watch the stream and scream over the stream. It's like people don't even take a raw feed. They just take the stream. So that's not good for anyone who works on a broadcast, because people aren't paying attention to the broadcast. They're paying attention to the co-streamer of choice. There is also no guarantee that these numbers mean anything, because, as I said, a Tarek fan might never spend a single cent on Valorant. They might just really like Tarek. They might be a Counter-Strike fan who really likes Tarek from the golden days, and they could tolerate watching Valorant as long as Tarek's on it. It's ridiculous. And what co-streaming has essentially become is a con job. A con job for games developers and esports operators to say, look at our numbers, because they're not even offering foreign language streams. Think about Gaules. Love talking about that guy. Think about how he cynically positioned himself as the only show in town for Brazilian fans. How he leveraged his own story, which is quite compelling. He had a tough time, background, overcame addiction, was very, very poor, and now he's like super wealthy and one of the biggest streamers in the world. I can fuck with that story. He also, by the way, ruthlessly pushed out all other Counter-Strike commentators. People who did actual commentary. And that's why when they had that major in Rio, you didn't get commentary. You got De Gao talking shit, getting up in between games, doing like political rallies and all sorts of insane stuff, feeding into this. They will never understand. This major isn't for the world, it's for Brazil. It's like, it's a world championship, mate. Dial that self-pity down a little bit. And so he drove casters out of Valorant. He drove casters out of all these games. And now, if you want to have a popular Brazilian language stream, you have to have Gaules sat in a chair, sweating, being biased towards Brazilian teams. That's it. That's what you get. There's actually, when Gaules retires or people get bored of it, there is going to be a generational gap of broadcast talent in Brazil. And it makes me fucking sad. That's a reality because of what he's done. And so this is what core streaming encourages. It is a short-term gain for a long-term poison in the river of esports. Just telling you. And it's also they can bump up their numbers. Be under no illusion. They are going to pick every big name they can pick, and the streamers are going to say yes to it, because that will give them free money, free subs, and then they watch the announcements after the first LCS split. Oh, the changes we made brought everyone back. That's what they're going to say. when they get these huge numbers, it's going to be the co-streaming numbers, and they're going to gaslight you.
If we haven't managed to excite you yet, then let us know why in the comments. What is the next area we can look to improve and innovate on? Before we move on, I quickly want to acknowledge the scope of these changes. We are excited to pilot these changes, and there are very likely to be some hurdles and challenges as a result. In 2023, we made a lot of changes to deliver the best product for fans, and so we ask for a bit of patience and grace as we continue evolving the LCS. We are also excited to take these lessons from our changes and share them with other regions should they resonate with fans. Along this vein, I also want to acknowledge and thank all the hard work from the LCS teams to kick off this year. There are so many people within the LCS putting in the hours to get this ready for the upcoming season, and I cannot thank them enough. Let's now go over the all you need to know about the upcoming year. As you may have heard last year, the LCS is back on weekends starting at noon PST.
Remember as well, they've now walked back the decision that they made controversially to try and prop up the viewership numbers, because they were like, look, we can maybe move LCS and not support it in its kind of territories, and we should get some bleed from European streams and people watching other regions, and it will make the numbers look better. I'm guessing it didn't make the numbers look better, because the problem you've got with LCS is the teams are fucking shit. The region's shit. The players are shit. There's people who didn't want to be there, fielding cheap teams, weak players, so they could just meet their requirement, looking to sell a slot. The format's shit. Everything about it shit. Your problems are existential. It's not about, like, oh, well, what time slot it's in. The bottom line is, and this is what I wish people in esports could just simply grasp, if your product is good and worth watching, you will be able to have people watch it and pay for the pleasure of watching it. That's it. If it isn't, it doesn't deserve to survive. And all these fake, nonsensical ways of trying to prop it up, you know, they don't mean anything at the end of the day. It's as simple as that. Yeah, exactly. You go back to GOM TV. GOM TV got people to pay to watch the streams at 720p. They already cracked it back then, guys. And Riot helped kill them. So, cheers.
Fans can expect 4 best-of-1 matches a day, double round robin style, during the regular season beginning January 20th. You can go ahead and grab tickets for the games starting tomorrow at the link below. After considering multiple approaches...
Was very disappointed none of you got me a fucking LCS ticket for my birthday. Scumbags. Call this a community. Fuck you know.
You'll notice that we decided to have a 2-week break after week 4 of the regular season, and there are a couple of reasons for this. First, this will keep the end of our season closer to MSI. The exit of 2 teams from our league and the season start date meant that we would finish our season very early without these breaks. Secondly, these breaks help avoid multiple weeks of overlap with the VCT, especially what would have been week 6 of playoff qualifications. We'll be sharing the Riot Games arena space with VCT on week 5 only, and we will have an update on what that means at a later date. Finally, the 2-week break gives us space.
So they're also now not overlapping their game. Right, so a league has to take a break because they want to push Valorant more. That's how fucking into it they are, guys. That's how really committed they are to the fucking LCS, which is thriving. Remember the sign. So,
space in the middle of the season to evaluate all of these changes and look for tweaks and improvements in workflows. This means that the LCS Spring Split Finals would take place on March 31st. We are still finalizing the very last details of this, and we'll share with you as soon as we can. You might be wondering, why best of ones? Well,
yeah, we are wondering why best of ones. Because I think we've all arrived at the conclusion after, 2 decades of esports just trying to reinvent the wheel. Let me just tell you what the best format for esports is. It's double elimination, best of 3s. Done. You get seeded into a bracket, you lose a game, you get a second chance in the lower bracket, you lose 2, you're out. There you go. Best of 3s. And a best of 3 means that it's always a fair result. We had it at the start. I remember I was there I was, 2004, the halcyon days. I've just stumbled into esports like a fucking drunk at a house party. What's all this then? Yeah. Right? And that's what we were doing back then. And it worked. And everybody loved it. And then for some reason, we started saying, we should try and have at least some alternative formats to freshen things up. And everyone went, yeah, that's a good idea. Let's have some fresh tournaments ideas. Let's borrow some structures. Then suddenly we're on like the GSL system at every tournament. We're using the blue ball system. You know, like like you have to have a fucking. You know, I have to fucking call up Stephen Hawking, rest in peace, to tell me if this team wins this game, do they qualify? Oh, well, no, because if you look at the mathematical, you've ruined it. You've broken esports now. Oh, actually, maybe I'm not calling up Stephen Hawking anymore. Yeah, this was recorded after the Epstein list. Maybe not him. Maybe not him. By the way, somebody posted on my Twitter timeline, you know that episode where Lisa Simpson meets Stephen Hawking? And he flies away with her in his helicopter wheelchair at the end. Fucking dark now, innit? Right. It's fucking real dark now. Right, anyway, guys, come on, we're better than this. We're here to talk about LCS. But anyway, best of ones ain't it. They ain't it. And you know they ain't it. And they ain't it in MOBAs, and they ain't it in Counter-Strike. These fucking RMRs have been a fucking shit show because the best of one just proves that, you know, you want a pistol round. That's it in Counter-Strike. That's the margin now with the economy being the way it is. So you can't have one map decide that. It's too fucking random. So, and it's the same in MOBAs. It's like I can get cheese picked. What the fuck now? Our coach fucked up the draft. What now? So, best of ones suck, but I can't wait, and everyone agrees. By the way, I bet if you were to ask him before he became commissioner, there's probably footage of it, guys, so go find it. It'll be on one of that hotline league. Rest in peace to the brain cells killed having to fucking watch that podcast, but it'll be out there. Someone will call in and go, why don't we go to best of one? You'll find footage of him going, best of threes are the superior. Like, because they are, and they objectively are. But let's, what does the regime want you to say?
We have a very strong understanding of what viewership starts, ebbs, and flows across the regular season format. This allows us to track the impact of the other changes that we are making and how they're being received by fans, and will act as a control variable for us across Spring Split. Additionally, the contraction to 8 teams creates more changes to the format already. We'll be evaluating this year, and we'll be making changes if things are not quite feeling right. Still with me so far?
So you didn't explain my best of ones are better, and what you've said is we know. See, he did it quite cleverly there. He said we know fans are morons with low attention spans. There you go. Finally, I agree with you, Mark. Like basically, he said you can't watch a best of 3. You guys don't do it. So we're doing best of ones to see if that holds your attention from the start to the end. And I've got to say, like, what does it say about the average esports fan? And I know this to be a reality. There are 2 types of fans that just fucking perplex me. Who is the type of fan that turns on a game, goes, right, can't wait to see this fucking game, CLG versus TSM, best of 3, classic era League of Legends, let's fucking go. Fucking hell, these maps are... These games are like 40 minutes long. It's fucking 32 minutes and they haven't even took Roche yet. Tell you what, I'll just come back later. and they leave and they don't watch the game. But you said you did. And somewhere in that, you realised you don't actually like the games. So fuck off. Go away. Stop dick teasing everyone into thinking that we actually have fans, because that isn't a fan. That's not how a fan operates. So I don't understand those people, and I'll tell you the other fan I don't understand, and I should be grateful to this type of fan, but I still hate you forever, like Baggins is. The fan who turns up at the end for the last 3 rounds of a map. When we did the Boston Major at E-League in 2018, we were worried we weren't going to break the record. We were like, fucking hell, what's happening? Like, we've got the Cinderella story, Cloud9 in the finals, you know, versus FaZe, and these numbers are going to be below the one before. We might not break the viewership record here. And then on the last map, with a few rounds to go, when the Cloud9 comeback was pretty much, you know, guaranteed, loads of people started pouring into the stream. And they watched, like, the last few rounds, and we broke the record. And all the dickheads in Twitch chat were typing, I was here! Why weren't you here fucking 2 hours ago, you cunt? What are you even here for? So, I don't understand those fans. They fucking... They blow my mind. And this is what I mean. It's like esports. You don't tailor your broadcast to these people. You weed them out of your community and you honestly appraise the numbers you've got and then budget accordingly. That's what you do. That's what we need to do to fix esports. We cannot keep up trying to be like, look, listen, esports is going to make it. All we need to do is find a way to, like, harvest money from Zoomer eyeballs. Like, it's not going to work, guys. It's not working. It hasn't worked. There's a generation after the Zoomers now, and by all accounts, they're fucking dumber. Even the Zoomers don't like them. They're getting a taste of their own medicine. So what the fuck are we doing here? It's insane. So anyway, yeah, we have compromised the integrity of the tournament and made fluke results more likely, not just through the patch, the patch change, but also best of one. So guess what? Best of one on a fresh patch. Fuck yourself, players. Fuck your skills. Fuck your work. Fuck your training. Fuck you, analysts. Fuck you, coaches. Yeah, just fuck you. Because the fans are brain dead, so we got to do something. Unreal.
Excellent. Let's get into the nitty-gritty of just how we're going to accomplish all those big bets that we were talking.
Probably should have vetted that. That's a racist phrase. I was a bit disappointed to see that used in a video because I am woke, as people know. Obviously, you can Google that phrase. It's highly inappropriate and harkens back to a dark time in America. And personally, I was offended. And it just shows that we've got further to go, I think. So disappointed to see that in a Riot video and see a commissioner say that. There's a lot to unpack here, certainly is. Yep, using a phrase that originated in those times. I mean, you might say, you know, he's took his eye off a systemic issue there. But whatever, right, let's continue.
Talking about earlier. We're going to go on a couple different ways that we're planning on improving the LCS. Let's start by playing on live patch, which will affect only regular season play. As I mentioned earlier, we want the LCS to become the place to watch when a new patch drops. And this, of course, means that fans can take anything they see straight into their own games to try and gain that sweet LP. Now, this also means that our pros will not have to practice on two different versions of the game during the regular season. And then they'll be able to shine on a global stage with whatever the latest big brain builds and strats are. To accommodate these changes, we'll be keeping one of the tournament realms updated to PBE. This will allow us to look ahead and see what's coming down the pipeline from League, as well as always have a practice environment even before the patch hits the live servers. As we implement this live patch play, we'll be closely monitoring the pro player experience and taking notes. Second, one of the most consistent pieces of feedback we've heard across all the years is that fans want the next game faster. Data shows that fans tend to tune out when the Nexus explodes, and they stay tuned out basically until the next game is on screen.
Yeah, they're morons. Like, what about the fans who don't do that? Why are we giving the fans that want more content less? Why are we giving the fans that want analysis less? Because the fair weather fan that doesn't, his brain can't process, what's happening? It's just people talking. They're sat down and they're talking. Why are we giving them what they want? I don't understand. It's like you're rewarding the worst type of fan for exhibiting the worst type of behavior. Why are we doing that? It's staggering to me.
Our goal is to update our current process by pre-recording the draft. Starting this season, we will look to have teams complete and record their draft in the practice rooms during the previous game. Afterwards, they will head backstage to wait until the stage match ends, and then they will perform their tech and ready checks. While those checks are going on, we will then air the previously recorded champ select for casters to react to for the first time, just like they currently do. Our hope is that this new process will allow for a smoother and faster flow from match to match. What does this mean about our analysts, though? They will still be in the studio every day providing those pre and post show coverages, as well as some post game coverage where appropriate when there are hype moments from the games.
So for the game to get any form of analysis, so this is why I think desk analysis in LCS is essentially dead, is to get any analysis, there has to be a hype moment in the game. So in other words, if there is a hype moment, then they're going to wheel out the analysts to go, wow, look at that hype moment. Yeah, he killed all 5. Pentakill. Remember that band? And then that's that. That's what you get. That's what passes for desk analysis now. Reaction content. Like, wicked. You've completely invalidated an entire subset of your ecosystem with these changes. It's actually staggering. You know what? It wouldn't surprise me if when they come out, after this split, beating the drum about how the changes were all good, propped up by those co-streaming numbers and the deluge of bullshit that always flows out of Riot Games' mouth. Other people are going to start doing it. Because none of you noticed. I mean, listen. I enjoyed this one, and I'm not going to talk about it here, but maybe I will talk about it on another stream. The Rocket League community are having another one of their classic meltdowns because the RLCS, or whatever the fuck they call it, I can't even remember now, probably worked one of them, but I don't know. They've cut down the number of games, the number of teams that go. They've shrank their esports, Psyonix have. They've shrank down their big thing. And loads of people are like up in arms about it, saying they're going to fucking, boycott or, whatever it is. And it's hilarious. I'm loving it. Get fucked. Get fucked, you shit community of moron children. Get fucked. Yes, more of that, actually. Perfect. We'll probably talk about that on another stream. But yeah, get fucked. Like, you will see other esports copy this if Riot Games say it's a success, which they will. Because you'll notice, by the way, Riot have never failed. They always come out and say, we've heard you, and we need to make changes. Did you fail then? No, it was amazing. Never correct the record, Which is ironic, because they all voted for Hillary. So, I don't know, dudes. Like, this sounds like a real shit time to be an analyst in League of Legends, if you work in the North American region. So...
More importantly, though, this allows them to focus on creating content with our production teams, now freed from a lot of the traditional constraints of an analyst desk.
Oh, yeah.
I.e., only 5 minutes long, only with winners, it has to be live, and these sorts of things. We can use their talents in the studio space to create content that will resonate better with our fans to be aired on the most appropriate platforms.
Gotta also say as well, I did think about this when I was doing the Gonzo Awards. They keep calling it... content. I can't help but feel these changes are a little bit informed about what happened with Latigress and that fucking insane overreaction to that segment with Double Lift as well. Because now, I mean, she did that monologue live, and it was all pre-approved and everything, and everyone got up in arms about it. I just wonder if, like, by not having anything live, they're being a bit more cognizant of, like, we're not going to let anything vaguely controversial through, and if the content goes in that way, or someone says something dumb, we can just jettison it and start the game quicker. Like, they're effectively moving away from, like, live stuff. You know what I mean? Fucking wild. Yeah, by the way, if you haven't seen the Gonzo Awards yet, go read them. And leave a comment on the Substack. It helps it look more populated and encourages engagement.
As an important reminder, this system and live patch play are only for the regular season. Post-season play will lock a patch as well as return to previous transition times to give teams the prep time between games. We will monitor both fan and pro player sentiment to these changes to improve and adjust as needed. The third thing we're looking at is increasing fan interactivity. God. We are looking to explore ways to deepen fandom and engagement with our sport by utilizing the tools on these platforms that allow fans to interact with our show. If you created a statistic that measured how much influence a viewer at home has over the channel they're watching, and you ranked all channels, esports broadcast would probably be near the bottom.
Do you know why? Because it's meant to be a sport. You fucking idiots. It's meant to be a sport. When I sit down to watch an esports broadcast, I am not there to see people in the crowd. I am not there to have that one cameraman not read the room and creepily zoom in on every attractive girl in the crowd. I don't want that to happen. I mean, it's gross just on its face, but I don't want to have that happen. I'm not there to see that. I am not there to have kiss cams, or if it's an Australian tournament, have a wanker drink out of a shoe every time a camera is even vaguely near him and shout Aussie, 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 oi, 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 and then think that qualifies them to have a major. You know, Australian fans, absolute prats. You know, I don't want to see that. I want to see the games, the moments, the player reactions. I want to see all of that, the moving parts. But no, now we're entering an era where you've seen the rise in fan pandering. You've seen it. You've seen everyone doing it in esports. Every time ESL enters any country, it's like a joke you tell about like a jaded rock star who goes, shit, where are we playing tonight, mate? Yeah, Seattle. It's great to be back in Seattle. I fucking love this city. Yeah, woo, let's go. And you know, you don't even know or care where you are. You know, they're doing that in esports now. ESL, every time it goes to a country. We're in Poland with the best fans in the world. Here in Katowice, Brazil, the best fans in the world. Or here we are in Australia, the best and the most passionate fans in the world. It's like, guys, man, it's just embarrassing at this point. And by the way, if you're a fan and you need to hear that, and you need to be on camera, and you need to have attention, and you need to have validation, you're not a fan. You're a fucking narcissistic tourist, and you are a cancer on this industry. Get out. There are better ways to get attention. Just fuck off. Go away. You have killed something that was good. But no, now Riot are empowering these people. Let's have a look at this interactivity. Can't wait.
And we want to change that and use this powerful tool for deepening fan investment engagement with the live broadcast. Imagine if you were able to vote on which champion, lane, or player you find most interesting for the camera to focus on a little bit more in the early game, or voting on who you think is most to say after a match. And then we also want to find ways to encourage a back and forth between the casters and the chatters.
Why? Why would you want to encourage that? Why would you want to not increase separation between experts and morons? Why would you not want to do that? And put it this way, I've seen Anders do this for like comedy purposes. If there's like a pause in a game, he'll go, Henry, have you seen this tweet that somebody sent me? Shithouse Twat Waffle on Twitter has asked how many tattoos you have. And Henry will be like, well, you know, but it's like, it's to fill dead time. And it's like, there's a lot of that. So it's fine. And if you're voluntarily opting in, and Anders is a legend, I mean, what more is there for him to do to prove he's a good caster, you know? Fuck it. Deserves to, like, rizzle, lizzle, dizzle, reading dumb tweets. Fucking have at it, man. So, you know, at the end of the day, that's something different to what they're proposing here, which is there's going to be a mechanism where somebody can less effectively insert themselves into the broadcast, and a producer is going to say to a caster, we've got some dickhead here, we've got a dickhead here, we've got a live dickhead saying a dickhead thing, so can you react to the dickhead in 5, 4, 3, 2, dickhead live. And what's that now? Like, in the middle of a fucking game, I have to just respond to what a dickhead says because streamers do that occasionally, and it's popular. Wicked. Is this a sport anymore? Like, I'm rapidly starting to think that it's just even not a sport. Like, imagine, by the way, they do it on sports broadcasts at the end. They do read tweets and they read reactions. And if you watch the BBC live feed, people get to join in the debate and hashtag sports discussion. It's part of it. Right? I've never seen, I literally can't think of an example. So if you can find one and prove me wrong, please do. But I've never heard of a commentator in the middle of a football game go, and while John Terry's just being treated there for racism, fuck John Terry. You know, while Steven Gerrard is being treated there for a knee injury that Rafa Benitez forced him to get, just so he could keep playing beyond the point of reasonableness and wreck him. We'll just read this tweet from Barry. We've got Barry from Walsall, and he says, Steven Gerrard is a pussy. Do you know what I mean? What is that adding to any of this? It's trash, it's garbage. The fans are morons. That's why they're not doing the job. You ever heard, like, dude, the intelligence levels of I mean, like, I'm calling out esports fans. Esports fans are worse than sports fans. But think about the sports discussions you have. Like, fans are fucked in the feed. They don't engage with reality. It's why they're called fans. Yeah, that ref was well biased. Didn't he give you, like, 2 penalties? Yeah, we should have had 3, though. Like, you know, they're morons. And you want to insert that stupidity into your show. Staggering to me. Makes me feel ill.
But we do not intend to over-index on this. It's about finding the right opportunities to level up the viewing experience to keep fans engaged and interested throughout the broadcast. Finally, community-focused content. If you've made it this far in the video, you know how seriously we are taking communication and transparency in 2024. We want to respect
That's why we do one video a year.
everyone's dedication and knowledge of our sport, and to communicate often so fans understand our decisions as we work to build more trust and connection. We plan to do this through a regular cadence of updates, including AMAs, blogs, and more. Even if we might not always agree, know that we are listening. We are ready to make changes to make the league better, and that starts with fan input. But wait, there's more. That's it for now from the LCS, so I'm going to toss it over to Zach to give you the latest.
It's all right, mate. We don't need to talk about the NECL stuff, although, you know, fearless draft does sound pretty rad. So, just what a nightmare. And I put it out on Twitter, right? Because, you know, I do tweet on occasion. I know I'm saying that I don't tweet now, but I mean, I do on occasion. But, like, people still talk like I'm on my 2015 shit, where I would literally be involved in every fight and every argument all the time. And I would just post my work, and people still say, have you seen him on Twitter? He's a man-child. Go look at his tweets. And it's like, it's just me linking to a video and then a Reddit thread of that video. It's just that forever, or a Substack article, or whatever it is. So I did put it out. Right, this is me being a man-child. Right. Come into the terrifying world of man-children. Right? You got this. Right, so tough day to be an LCS analyst and hear the news that your expert breakdowns are getting cut in favour of clowning around and reading tweets. Still, got to pander to those fans who say shut up and start game, right? That's it, right? That's what I said in my man-child way, right? And this person quote tweeted me and then made it so I couldn't reply. So obviously, probably someone who thinks I'm a man-child, right? Yes, actually, pandering to viewers is correct. Yeah, I mean, what do I know? Like, you're going to get a weaker product. You might have a higher viewership. If viewership is the be-all and end-all for your product, I guess, fine. Somebody did also say, the games themselves aren't even worth watching, so analysis of them, no thanks. Brilliant. That's a great product that they've got there. I mean, that is pretty based. This is the average pleb fan's conception of what analysts do and why analysts exist in sports, right? Particularly esports. Let's tone down the bias here. I mean, my famous bias towards League of Legends analysts. Let's tone down the bias here. Analysts were there in the first place to be fillers while the team swapped and did tech checks, which took them more than 30 minutes between each game. Pondering, he means pandering, to fans to retain viewership must be bad. It's like, that's not why we do what we do. And like a man-child, I replied, and I said, the fact you think this is what analysts are there for is illustrative of how stupid the average esports fan actually is. Thanks for the reply. Man-child, he's a man-child. He's such a man-child. You're passive-aggressive man-child. That'll be the next one. That's what they'll say about me. So, basically, fuck the analysts. All you needed to do to fix LCS, apparently, was make the product so meaningless, best of ones on random patch changes with no analysis whatsoever between the games, so we can just have a run of fluky best of ones, and then maybe the fans will stick around. Brilliant. You know what? They should totally do this in football. They should really just give this a try in the Premier League. 90 minutes is too long for a game with 15 minutes break. They should just make games 30 minutes long. Because it doesn't matter if you pay for a ticket, really. The money's made in TV, and it's an entertainment product. So you should just make football 30 minutes long. Why not even just have first goal wins? Why not just do that? That way, all the people who were watching on, you'd be able to get more games in a day. Oh, and then just have zero analysis of it whatsoever as well. Get rid of that. I mean, who really wants to hear Roy Keane and Gary Neville tear strips off each other? You know, who really wants to hear that incredible, entertaining back and forth? Not me, that's for sure. Oh, what a joke. Like, just fucking, I don't know. So I had to get on it because I was like, and by the way, I'm not reading Reddit today. I'm not doing it. The reaction on the Reddit thread, I mean, I might have to show you a Reddit thread. I don't think there's any way to get out of this. I think I'm going to have to show you a Reddit thread, guys. I'm going to just a little morsel of the insanity that goes on over at Reddit. Just to end the video, you know? Because I don't think you understand. Like, put it this way. Does anyone in the chat think those changes are universally good. Just inarguably good. It's okay to think some of them are good. It's okay to think they're interesting, whatever. But all those changes, does it make LCS a better product? And I think most people think no. And most people in the chat are now saying no, right? So when you see a thread like this, the 2024 LCS address is the biggest Riot W in years. If that's true, it might actually be true, but not for the reasons you think. Not because it's good, but because Riot are a fucking dreadful company. But, right, look, historically, Riot and the players don't always see eye to eye, and in dev updates, there's usually a, we know you may not like this, but here's why we're going to do it segment. I don't know what magic spell Mark Z conjured behind the scenes for all of this to happen, but the LCS address is just back-to-back constant good news. It's almost unprecedented. We want LCS back on weekends. LCS is back on weekends. Analyst desk is boring. Just put the next game on already. Sure, here's 5 different ways how we're going to achieve that and make the pause more interesting to watch. Chat, which patch is this? Clueless. Live patch, always. You can queue up right now and try that cool, questionable build you saw on stage. On top of that, we got stuff we didn't even know we wanted. Chat interaction on stream, voting for interviews, observers focusing on fan favourite matchups, fearless draft in NACL. Even if you're not a fan of the LCS, this announcement was amazing news for you, because the big picture, it shows not only that Riot can actually be in touch with what the community wants, but also they're more committed to long-term health of the scene than most people gave them credit for. Admittedly, I myself was one of those people. Even though things have been looking rough in NA for a pretty long time, they won't just let it roll over and die. Good shit. 94% upvoted. 94% upvoted. Analyst desk is boring. Let's cut it. Good choice. 94% upvoted. I mean, know your audience, I guess. If you want to lean in to making a product for morons, and you are tacitly saying that's what we're doing, that's cool. I mean, shit, when I was a kid, I didn't want to watch, documentaries about history or, 3-hour-long Tarkovsky movies. I didn't want to watch that. I wanted to watch Transformers and Dungeons and Dragons. So, I guess those things shouldn't be made. So, all content I watch should be Transformers and Dungeons and Dragons to cater to my brain. Nothing else should exist, in fact. Just absolutely insane. You have the choice. If you cannot handle the level of engagement required for a sports broadcast, fuck off. Go watch something else. Why do I have to change what I'm making because you're a moron? That makes zero sense to me. And it's like you've just said there, by the way, all that really matters in this game is viewership. Not your analysts, not your casters, not the quality of the content you're talking about, not the games themselves, not the players and their desire for excellence. All of that is a secondary concerns, tertiary concerns in some cases, for the fan experience. Brilliant. And as I said, it'll spread to other esports. So, yeah, it does affect you. And it's bad news if you actually like esports. Because I'll tell you, imagine a CS major where we just had no analysis desks. Imagine it. Terrible.